Alright, let's talk about it. This big UFC move about Patricio Pitbull, how he's making his official UFC debut at UFC 314. Now, I know some people aren't exactly thrilled about a Bellator fighter crossing over, but honestly, I don't see why that's a bad thing. Yeah, sure, he's coming over late in his career, but let's be real, Pitbull is still legit. The guy has been running through competition in Bellator for years, holding titles in multiple weight classes, and taking out some serious talent. People love to downplay fighters outside the UFC, but you can't deny his skills. He's got knockout power, a slick submission game, and he's been in some absolute wars. Now, to be fair though, he wasn't the champion when he left PFL or Bellator, but he did go on a high note with a win over Tim Kennedy. Now, I get it, some fans don't care because to them, Bellator isn't the UFC, but look at the history. Guys like Michael Chandler, Eddie Alvarez came over there and made an impact, and let's not forget that Pitbull knocked out Chandler in 1 minute when they fought. That alone should tell you that he's no joke. And personally, I love this signing. It shakes things up, adds more depth to the division, and gives us more fresh matchups that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. Whether he sinks or swim in the UFC is exciting in my opinion. Plus, if he proves himself, it's just another reminder that elite talent does exist outside of the UFC bubble. So yeah, late or not, Pitbull's arrival is a big deal and I'm all in for it. And this guy isn't just coming over as some random Bellator champ. He's been one of the most well-rounded and dangerous featherweights in the world for over a decade. First off, the power this guy carries is crazy, especially for a featherweight. He's not just a guy who lands clean shots, he's putting people out cold. The Michael Chandler knockout was a statement movement. Chandler wasn't just some average fighter. He came into the UFC, knocked out Dan Hooker, gave Charles Oliveira problems, and won a war with Justin Gaethje. Yet, Pitbull starched him in under a minute. And that wasn't just luck, he read the movement, timed the right hand, and ended the fight in devastating fashion. He's done this to plenty of guys like Pedro Cavararo, knocked him out stiff in the first. Emmanuel Sanchez dropped him and choked him out. The dude does not waste movement, and when he commits, it's because he knows he's landing. Beyond the knockouts, his fight IQ is ridiculous. A lot of power punches just swing for the fences, but Pitbull fights smart. He knows when to press forward, when to counter, and when to make adjustments mid-fight. Look at his rematch with AJ McKee. The first fight, he got caught and McKee finished him fast, but in the second fight, he flipped the script and made McKee fight on his terms. It wasn't some wild brawl, it was a calculated fight where he neutralized McKee's biggest weapons. That's the mark of a veteran who knows how to win. And people forget that this guy is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and it's not just for show. He actually finishes fights with submissions. Emmanuel Sanchez got caught in a guillotine in under 2 minutes and Pitbull made it look effortless. He's the kind of guy where if he grabs your neck, it's a wrap. He doesn't just rely on striking, he has multiple ways of ending the fight. The wildest part? He's been doing this for years and he's still a problem. This isn't some washed up vet just looking for a paycheck. He's still sharp, still dangerous, and now he's finally getting a shot in the UFC. If people are sleeping on him, they might be in a rude awakening. He's fought across multiple divisions, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, proving himself at every level. And yeah, maybe he got here a little late, but so did other guys like MVP and Chandler. And look at the impact they made. Now, as far as his debut against Yair, man, that's got to be an interesting fight to say the least. You've got two completely different styles colliding. On one hand, Yair is one of the most dynamic, unorthodox strikers in the game. He's got that wild kick arsenal, spinning elbows, flying knees, you name it, he throws it. If he keeps it at range, finds his rhythm, and starts letting those kicks fly, it could be a nightmare for a guy who's stepping into the UFC for the very first time. But, on the other hand, Pitbull has been through wars. He's fought across multiple weight classes, tested himself against all kinds of opponents. And he's not just some flashy highlight reel fighter. He's got grit. He knows how to drag a fight into deep waters. He's got solid pressure. And if he can make it ugly, get inside, and force Yair into a dogfight, things can start swinging in his favor real fast. So it really comes down to who's going to be dictating the pace. If Yair is controlling the distance, picking his shots, and staying elusive, it's his fight to lose. But if this guy can cut off the cage, force exchanges, and take away the space Yair loves so much, then we might be looking at a huge debut upset. However, this is where Yair has the advantage. The dude is a sniper with his kicks, and he thrives in those long-range striking games. He's not just throwing basic 1-2s and leg kicks, he's mixing in spinning elbows, flying knees, and kicks from all angles. You wouldn't even expect. You give him space and he'll pick you apart while setting up traps for something big. And let's not forget his movement. Yair is insanely elusive. He's not that type of guy to just stay in the pocket and trade shots. He's consistently bouncing, cutting angles, and making guys swing at air. If he can stay on his bike and keep his opponents chasing, he's gonna rack up damage without taking much in return. Now, the real X factor is that unpredictability. You can't really train for someone like Yair because he doesn't fight like anyone else. 1 second you think you're safe, and the next he's throwing some wild spinning elbow out of nowhere. If his opponents can't close the distance and make it a dirty fight, Yair's gonna have a field day picking him apart. Yair thrives when he has space, but Pitbull doesn't give you space. The dude is a tank. He's compact, explosive, and he knows how to close the distance fast. If he can cut off the cage and turn this into a brawl, Yair's gonna have a serious problems on his hand. First off, power. Yair is flashy, but Pitbull is efficient. He's not throwing wild techniques just for the highlight reel. Everything he throws has bad intentions, and we're talking about real knockout power. If he lands clean, it could be lights out, simple as that. Then there's his durability and fight IQ. Pitbull has been there with killers. He's been through wars, and he knows how to adjust mid-fight. He's not going to bite on feints. He's not going to overcommit and give Yair easy counters. If things get wild, that actually favors Pitbull because he wants a dogfight. However, one thing that might cost him in this fight is that Pitbull doesn't grapple offensively, like ever. He's got the skills, he's a legit black belt, but he just doesn't use it as his main weapon. He's always been more about counter striking, exploding to big shots, and then maybe snatching a submission if his opponents shoot on him. Even when he's gone to the grappling, it's usually because the opportunity was there, not because he was actively looking to wrestle. Like against Emmanuel Sanchez 1, he was able to take him down and control him, but that's not his usual approach. He's never been a guy who shoots for takedowns, works chain wrestling, and looks to grind people out. That's just not his style. But against Yair Rodriguez, man, if there was ever a fight for Pitbull to actually wrestle, this is the one. Because let's be real, Yair has no takedown defense. He's slick off his back, he's got good jiu-jitsu, but the dude is way too lanky and way too easy to ragdoll. We've seen Frankie Edgar ran through him, Volkanovski had no trouble taking him down and smashing him. Even Max Holloway had his moments where he controlled him. If Pitbull actually chooses to wrestle here, Yair could be in trouble. The question is, will he? Because history has told us that Pitbull just doesn't fight like that. And yeah, here's the thing. Yair has already fought a guy with a similar style in Josh Emmett, and we've seen how that played out. Emmett, just like Pitbull, is a compact powerhouse with serious knockout power. He was looking to close the distance, land that big right hand, and turn Yair's lights out. But Yair, he picked him apart. From the jump, Yair was controlling range, staying elusive, and attacking with his kicks from all angles. Every time Emmett tried to step in, he was eating a body kick, elbow, or getting jammed up with knees. And when Emmett did manage to land something big, Yair just absorbed it and kept moving. The dude is durable and underrated. Now, Pitbull is a little bit more technical than Emmett. He's got better defense and more well-rounded skill set, but at the end of the day, he's still going to have the same problem closing that distance without taking massive damage. If Yair sticks to the same game plan that he used against Emmett, sniping him from range, attacking the body, mixing in those nasty elbows, when Pitbull tries to pressure, this fight can end up looking pretty similar. Now, of course, Pitbull is dangerous, and if he lands clean, it's a problem. But history has showed us that guys like him struggle against Yair's movement and length.